back with more Gloves Are Off. And guys, we ended off the show, or at least that break, going into the next segment, which was Tyler Seguin. And this has got to be a tough situation if you're the Dallas Stars. You're leading goal scorer, not to mention one of the top players in the game. He's finally maturing, it seems like, as a player. All of a sudden, he gets injured on a bad hit that results in gone for 3 to 6 weeks, especially at this stretch. That's got to be devastating for the Dallas Stars, right?
Oh, their season's done. They're 6 points out of a playoff spot in the Western Conference. I'd say you're as close to being done as you're possibly going to get when you lose your star player and one of the best players in the league. You might squeak in depending on what, say, like the Jets can do if they can hold off, but they made moves to improve their team. So, are they going to drop 10 points to move that spot? So I think Dallas is, unfortunately, they're done.
I don't really know, man. If your best player's out, it's a morale thing too. Everyone's looking to the guy who's putting all the points up and he's not there, and it's bad. And knee-on-knee hits, ooh, brutal.
You're ready to feel it. I remember we discussed it before the show. You said your knees are ready to take away just of the pains.
Brutal.
And knowing yourself being competitive, that injuries do happen. And a lot of people try to recover by using a lot of performance-enhancing drugs. And it goes to our next subject, and of course, UFC Commissioner Dana White. He's received a lot of criticism, of course, with a couple big names testing positive. But he says, you know what, I'm going to come with the hammer. We're going to make sure these people pay, and tomorrow he's going to announce the stringent plans of what the UFC is going to do. But do you feel that Dana White's kind of come late to the game, not really attacking this whole performance-enhancing drugs issue until now, or until he's received criticism?
I think Dana does what Dana wants to do, and when it suits him to do what he does, that's when he does it, right? Like when nobody cared, then he didn't care. And now that it's like, oh, everyone's on steroids or everyone's using performance-enhancing drugs, now he's like, oh, I got to say something about this, or there's gonna be repercussions, right? So that's. If you follow the sport, man, you can even look and see as far back as some of these guys. Look at Vitor back in the day when he was like 19. He was huge. He's a monster. There's no way. And then that's why he had to get all the test treatment and stuff done because of he used too many steroids when he was a kid. And it's been like that. Lots of these guys have been like that. But now it's a big deal because they're catching these big guys before the fights and they have to cancel fights, and now it's a big deal, right? So. And even sometimes they don't even cancel the fights. They just try to sweep it under the rug because you got two guys that you have a huge pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. You don't want to squash the pay-per-view and end up like the one that's coming up with Rousey and Kat. That's the big main thing for me. I don't know. For me, it's going to be a good fight, but they took the other one off of there, right? The Vitor and Weidman. So I don't know, man. That was injury-wise. That wasn't steroids or anything, but it's just.
But you see this being an issue, and I know, Andrew, like we talk about professional sports, you know this. You have a lot of leagues saying, okay, we got to stop this because we want to keep our sport as pure as possible. Is that 100% of the case? Well, that's got to be tough to say. But don't you feel that at least with Dana White, that this is actually just the tip of the iceberg, that there's actually a lot more of the underdwellings within not just UFC, but MMA fighting in particular, because you've had that experience at the amateur level as well.
Well, like I was saying earlier, like with us, where I competed at, there's no testing for stuff like that. Like they take your blood to make sure you don't have the HIV or anything, like stuff like that. But you could be on all kinds of performance-enhancing drugs, and nobody cares because it's like lower level stuff. And then this is what happens though, people start using that stuff in the lower levels, then they get tested in the higher levels, so they can't do it anymore, and that's why they fall off and they're not good. Like when Pride guys came over, they didn't test in Pride. Everyone was killing in Pride. Then they come over here where they're getting tested, and you see all these Pride guys that did not do so well because they weren't, you know what I mean? It's just how it went. So, but they're so smart at it now, ways of cycling and doing their stuff, that a lot of them don't get caught, right? So,
what do you think of this, Andrew?
No, I think it's all about, like you said, about money too. You're selling something. You're selling a pay-per-view months in advance, sometimes years in advance. When you're saying a fighter is going to fight here, you gotta hope that guy's going to stay clean. So it's hard to criticize Dana White for not doing something earlier because he's selling a product, and people love the product. That's his job, is to promote a fight, and he's got to hope that these people are cleaning up their business and not coming to them drugged. And it's like you said, it's hard when you have millions of dollars on the line, like thousands of dollars to fight, and even if you lose, you still get something, but you get a lot more money if you obviously win. So.
I'd watch the Ultimate Steroid Fighting Championship. I think it'd be great. Jack everybody up and let them go at it. I think it'd be amazing.
I think that's the way to kind of end the whole
right?
talk.
Just have two leagues. Have like bodybuilding where they test and don't test and some sort of bodybuilding stuff, right? Like there's like no performance enhancing drugs, and the difference is amazing, right? Some of those guys are huge. So I'd watch guys like that just beat the hell out of each other. It'd be great for me. I think it'd be fantastic.
It's like Major League Baseball. That's all it is.
Yeah,
Just
whatever.
same thing.
Yeah, it's
Out of sight, out of mind
Yeah.
for
There we go.
Dana. I think you could take the rules from Bud Selig, the former commissioner of Major League Baseball. Quickly, let's move on to Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, I don't know, well, PEDs, never mind. Well, this guy needs all the help he can have, whether it be his back or whether it be his putting game, because it seems there's a lot more mental that is really struggling with Tiger Woods, although he's a little more lighthearted. Phoenix Open wasn't that great. He was funny, yes, but his game, not so much. It was laughable to a certain extent that this was not the former champion that we're so used to, the irreverent Tiger Woods. He's trying to make his comeback, and I'm not saying this guy couldn't do anything, but by the end of 2015, can we say his comeback was a success in any stage or a complete flop?
People are still talking about him. So in that aspect of public, you know what I mean, being a public persona, I guess that's a win. They're not saying the nicest things, but as far as his game's gone, you know what I mean, it's a whole different story right there.
It's going to be based on what he does on the course. If he can win some majors this year, that's what he's judged. That's what you're
Yep.
judged on in the PGA. It's not what you do in the little tournaments. Like, as much as we love what he didn't do in Phoenix, it's what you do at the Masters and the British and the U.S. and it's those tournaments that it's going to solidify whether or not this is a comeback year for Tiger or not. What is a comeback year for Tiger though? Like, how many majors does he have to win? Does he have to win one? It's a comeback. It's better than last year. Is it better than the year before? It's hard to figure out what a comeback is for Tiger because Tiger's been the face of golf for so long, and I don't know really if this would be a comeback tale. It's just kind of figuring out. Everyone goes through these kind of spirals in golf, so I don't think it's that major.
I think he's a saint.
Well, there might be a lot of people who might disagree with that, Greg, but I'll say this. We got to take a time out. We'll be back. We'll see if you'll be either saint or sinner, because we have gloves are off, our favorite show, our favorite topic, our game. Over under, coming up.
Let's do it.